you will study your market. You need to have relationships with contractors. Flipping has been easy for me because of my skill set. But if you know nothing at all about building construction, barely know how to paint the wall, your investment is going to be steeper because you now have to hire a contractor that you have to manage that you really don't know what you're doing. So fully vetting a contractor is probably the most important thing before you get into a flip. Know that you have somebody on that back end who can support in that investment to get it done.
Welcome to the Aid to Assets podcast, the ultimate podcast for aspiring real estate investors. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson. Join me as we discuss real estate investing for 9-to-5ers. We'll talk about everything from money mindsets and property ownership and different strategies you can use to invest in real estate. I want to empower investors, especially those of us who are working full-time, who want to navigate the world of real estate, uncover the secrets to building wealth, generate passive income to achieve financial freedom. Equip yourself with resources from experts, practical tips, and step-by-step guides on how to kickstart your real estate journey. We'll also hear from 9-to-5ers who started to build their own portfolios, what they did and how they did it, so you can do it too. Tune in and transform your main job into your biggest silent investor in your real estate investment business. This is your Aid to Assets. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson, and here we help 9-to-5ers who are working to figure out how to navigate the wonderful world of real estate investing. You are a full-time employee and want to build a real estate portfolio to help you buy your way to wealth. I am here with another amazing host that I'm so excited for you all to get to hear and learn from. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself, your name, where you're from, and what you do?
Hello, and thank you for having me. My name is Karonna Hosey, not Corona like the virus, or the bear, but I am a realtor, associate broker. I have been licensed for 6-7 years. I am a retired carpenter. So I've been working in and around real estate for almost 30 years.
Wow, that is amazing. Let me tell you, one of the first things that I was so excited to get to talk with you about is how we got into carpentry. I don't hear many females that are in carpentry. And then I was like, oh, she probably building everything. She got this real estate on lock. So I was so very excited. So thank you so much for joining us and talking with us. So I like to start the show with receipts, so people know why they should be tuning in, why they should be listening, and why they should go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so they don't miss any episodes. So you've already dropped and told us you've been in the real estate world for 30 years. Now you're on the buy-sell side. I know we're going to talk about how you also helping people to renovate, and I know that's in there. And so we're going to talk about that too. But let's talk about receipts. Like, what would you say? What is your accomplishments over the span of 30 years? Who have you helped? What have you done for yourself? Let's drop some numbers for the people know that you're a real deal.
Wow. So on the construction side, I did a lot of, I'm a union carpenter, first of all, from Ohio. And I was in commercial. I didn't do very much residential. I'd remodel for families. Like I remodeled my dad's attic. I'd do whatever at my own house. My basement used to look like Home Depot because I was addicted to tiling. Who knew? I would dust up the floor and retile. So there was that. But I did a lot. Like in the 90s, Bill Clinton sent a ton of money down from HUD to rebuild all the housing projects across the country. And I was in a position to get a lot of that money.
Come on.
I did a lot of projects around Northeast Ohio. And I built bridges consecutively for like 7 years. I was building bridges.
Wow.
Once the union sent me to a job and I didn't break that first year, then I got kind of pigeonholed because a lot of people don't like heights. And I had this mindset that I had something to prove, so I wouldn't let them break me. So I kept going. I was so scared, but I kept going and kept going until I wasn't scared. So I built bridges for many years. I built like General Motors when Chevy changed from, what was it, the Cobalt or the Cavalier to the Cobalt.
Mhm. Mhm.
I built that plant. And because I had a higher aptitude than just the average um, tradesman, I would get called onto the job first. I would work with the engineers and doing the survey work and all the site work. So I got to do a lot of cool stuff. Power plants, water towers. I did a lot of that type of thing.
Wow.
My last bridge was in Cleveland, and I had a fall that made me stop. I never went back
Ooh.
on another bridge. And I used to wear Cleveland Browns hard hat. Yes, I'm a Browns fan. Don't hold it against me. But I used to wear my hard hat, my Browns hard hat, and there was this pile of plywood. It was 50 sheets high, and I had to cut 4-inch strips. So I had to cut the whole 50 sheets. So it's 4
Mhm.
feet wide, 8 feet long. I had to cut 4 inches, 8 feet long, 50 sheets of plywood. So it was like an all day thing. Being the only woman on the job, I always would get put on crazy projects like that.
Mhm.
And little did I know, underneath the end of that, like at the bottom of it, the laborers had left a hole. I didn't know there was a hole. So I'm cutting with the circular saw, and I get
Mhm.
down, and now I don't have this big bunk of plywood anymore. I fell through that hole.
Oh
Well,
no.
underneath was Amtrak trains. I could hear the train. I'm dangling by my arm, and all that was up was this arm and my hard hat.
Mhm.
And so I'm just dangling there. And the guys, somebody said, "What are you doing, Hosey?" And they came and they pulled me up, and
Oh my
I
god.
quit. I quit. That
Oh
was
my
my last.
goodness. Okay.
That was my last day on a bridge job. So I don't think I start catering after that. I didn't even yeah, that was it for me. Haven't worked union work since then. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so then when did we make the pivot into real estate? How did that
I was
happen?
investing, had properties back home in Ohio, had investment properties, but I moved to Las Vegas. I wanted to do real estate in Ohio, get licensed, I should say. The cost of living there is so much lower that I was discouraged. A friend of mine is licensed, and she would show me how the commission works. And the typical
Mm.
commission, for those who don't know, for each side is like 3%. So if a home only costs $20,000 and you're
Mm.
getting 3%,
Mhm. Mhm.
so she was telling me, she's like, "Yeah, you can do well, but you know." So it made me not do it. Then I moved to Las Vegas in '07, I think, and there was a rash of rape homicides on
Mm.
agents. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna. I had started the licensing process. Yeah, I'm not doing that either.
Mhm.
There were, just one thing that I want to really stress is, if you get into real estate and you get a person that says they want to buy a home and they contact you via social media or email, any means of non physical communication with this person that you don't know, meet them at your office, meet them at Starbucks, copy their license, do whatever. Never, ever, ever meet a person you don't know at a house, especially a vacant house. And so
Mhm.
these women were doing this, just trying to, it was during the collapse in like '08, '09, and they were just really trying to survive the business, but
Mhm.
they'd end up victims. So it caused me to wait then. And then when I moved to Georgia, it was just right. The sun, moon, and the stars lined up, and I went for it. And I really realized that I had a strong aptitude for it when I was in my pre-licensure class.
Mhm.
And all of the students would like totally dismiss the instructor and ask me all the questions. So I was like, oh, I kind of do know the information, but I just have such a passion for it that I devoured the book. Our book was like 900 pages long, and I went through with a highlighter and I just tore it up.
Mhm, mhm.
But that came from my self motivation, my drive, and my love for real estate. I'm just a geek. Like on my 16th birthday, me and my mother went looking at houses. I have always loved real estate.
Wow, that's amazing. So you mentioned that you had real estate investing properties in Ohio before you moved. So this is while you were working for the union, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start there and then we'll come back to present day. So you're working at the union. What is it? I know you said you mentioned you always loved real estate. You went looking at houses even as a teenager. What was it that made you say, I need to start investing in real estate?
But just understanding that um, every wealthy person has real estate in their portfolio.
Mhm.
It,
Mhm.
there's of all of the things that we can create and manufacture, there will never be another earth.
Mhm.
Just understanding that value. And I just know that I like passive income.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about that first property. How did you know this was the one? What was that process like for you getting it while you're also still working?
Getting it, okay, what was first? Again, the cost of living was way different there.
Mhm.
My income was above average for the area. And so you can I think still to this day you can buy a house for $10,000, $15,000 there. And just having the money, somebody had a house for like $5,000.
You did not buy a house for $5,000. Your first property you bought for $5,000.
Hmm.
I love it. And you said this was when was this? '07? No,
No,
this
this
was earlier.
was no, it was like somewhere around there. It was around 06, '07, something like that. But yeah, so I was working for a long time, well before I started investing. Um,
Mhm.
I kept looking for properties and looking for properties, and something would always come up. But what I did do was aggressively pay off my own mortgage. I paid my house off in 8 years. So
What wait, hold on. Hold on. You had a 30-year mortgage?
yeah,
A 30-year mortgage. You paid in 8 years. You're not gonna speed past that, man. Hold on. What we doing? What we talking about? How did that happen?
again, I made way more than the average. Um,
Mhm.
okay, so 30,000 I paid for the house,
Okay.
so it wasn't hard. My mortgage was
Mhm.
like $300 or something, 200, and
Mhm.
that was back
Mhm.
in the time when rates were way more than they are now. What people cry about now, my interest was like 8%.
Listen, tell
So I
somebody about
tell
this
people, don't
cycle.
run from that rate. Don't run from that rate. 'Cause whatever it is now, you better still buy. Don't run from it because you can finance down. You can always
Exactly.
finance down. The thing that happened to the market now is the prices have the baseline has raised.
Mhm.
But again, Northeast Ohio, the economy tanked in the 80s.
Mhm.
So Ronald Reagan came through and crushed unions, and the steel industry suffered. So
Mm.
they call our area the Rust Belt.
Okay.
So steel mills, like a city, for instance, would go from population of about 100,000 to like 6,000 because people were
Wow.
leaving so rapidly because there were no jobs. When all
Wow.
you have is steel mills and then there's nothing, like
Mhm. Mhm.
hospital systems collapsed, like everything. And the last big employer, General Motors, left in the last maybe 5, 6 years. The General Motors that I built, they closed.
Wow. Wow.
So there's nothing there. That's why
Mhm.
it's so cheap. The population is about 85% fixed income.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
no money there.
Mhm. So let me ask you about the mindset then, because even with having a mortgage, let's say it's $300, it's very easy to say, well, cool, I can do that. I can do this 300 and then I got the rest of my money to do me. What was it that made you say, no, I'm going to put extra to pay this off earlier? Or was that even the goal to pay it off earlier? Was it just, I'm going to throw some extra money? Like, how did that come about?
I hate commitment.
You gotta know
I
you.
didn't like
Okay.
that note over my head.
Okay.
Know
Okay.
thyself.
That's it. And then be true. Okay. So now, present day, how many properties do you own?
I only own one now.
Only one now.
Only one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So let's fast forward now. So you're in Georgia. You are working now with buyers and sellers. And what is that shift seen as you see people, and you kind of hinted on a little bit, especially right now, we're talking about interest rates in the market. People, there's still houses. You said we're not creating no more land. So this is it. We got to get in where we fit in. What are you seeing now in terms of the people who are actually still investing? What common themes do you see amongst them?
I see a lot of people stumbling through investing to get into investing. There's a very big gap.
Okay.
I happen to work hard to get to where I'm on the upper end of that gap. I work with a lot of large investors,
Okay.
um, where my team and I might close 200 homes a month. Um,
Wow.
so it's that I'm a little bit out of touch with the average investor. I work with the entry level investor, I should say. I work with either individuals or the big guys. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't really worked with very many people who have been successful at breaking into investing lately. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people want to, but the threshold is kind of steep. People are not positioning themselves to have, even if you get a company that's going to do hard money loans, a lot of people haven't either taken care of their credit. You still need some kind of decent credit. You'll
Mm-hmm.
still need cash. You'll need at least 20%. Some lenders will do 90% loan to value, which
Mm-hmm.
means if the house is $100,000, you'll need $10,000 because they'll do a 90% loan.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people aren't even saving anything. So they want
Mm-hmm.
to get in, and then these internet gurus, which drive me crazy, and they tell you, you can do this with no money down. Tell me how.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
still, and a lender wants some skin in the game.
Right.
Why would, if I was a lender, why would I just loan you 100% of it? Now, I'm assuming 100% of the risk. You have no
Mm-hmm.
reason to really honor this deal. What is your incentive? So
Mm-hmm.
lenders want, at least most of them want 20%.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the house needs renovations, after the acquisition portion, they will lend you 100% of the renovation cost.
Right.
But a lot of people think long term, I'm going to get rental properties. Well, I always recommend, if you're going to just start and you don't really have cash reserves and this is your first time investing, go for the flip, because you can return that investor's money,
Mm-hmm.
get your return, and then move on to the next project. And the more experience that you get, then you can diversify. But go for the flip.
Go for the flip. Okay, I love that. So let's talk about that because I mean, you talk about the internet guru. The other one that drives me crazy, as much as I love a good HGTV episode, David is my friend. My lottery dream home is my favorite. This is not it. I did not hit the
Not at all.
lottery. And
Not at
so, so you talked about the preparation of what people need to do in order to be ready to invest. Talk to
all.
us more. If I want, I am one of the ones where I want to do this, but I know this is a long term strategy. So I want to best prepare myself to first do my first flip and then figure out how I can diversify from there. What do I need to do?
You will study your market. You need to have relationships with contractors. Flipping has been easy for me because of my skill set. But if you know nothing at all about building construction, you barely know how to paint the wall, your investment is going to be steeper because you now have to hire a contractor that you have to manage that you really don't know what you're doing. So fully vetting a contractor is probably the most important thing before you get into a flip. Know that you have somebody on that back end who can support you in that investment to get it done. Because the last thing you want is to have this, now you have this ridiculous interest rate on a hard money loan, and you got 12 to 24 months to pay them back, and you got somebody who might run off with your supplies and your money. Now you have a mechanic's lien. There's just so many things that can happen. So fully stacking your team first, knowing you have a contractor, several contractors, not just one, a general contractor and all the sub trades, just in case the general flakes. You want to have a backup to the backup to the backup. That is the most important thing. But then studying the market, you can look at Zillow stats for sold homes. Don't trust the Zestimate, but Zillow stats for sold homes is accurate. It's the easiest way to get to the information. It's all public. It will be on the county's information, but the county is a little bit more tedious to sift through. So look at what the neighborhoods are doing, finding distressed properties that aren't total rentals. So we call that a soft flip. Now the soft flip is, okay, I might need to put some new carpet down and paint, clean out, and this house is ready to flip.
Mm-hmm.
A full rental is just what it sounds like. I need a whole squad and permits and all of that. And that's another thing, knowing your municipality. Some counties take a long time to grant building permits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then to grant the certificate of occupancy once you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So just know your jurisdiction. If you find a soft flip, say somebody, the house that I'm in now, it needed more work than it looked like on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a house that the previous owner she died, and the family couldn't keep up with the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And they called me. They
Okay.
called me on Facebook, and I was like, all right. Went down to the county and
Mm-hmm.
so just being in the right position at the right time with the money.
Right.
So save
Okay.
your money. I tell people, if you don't make a lot of money, but let's say you get a big income tax every year, man, position yourself. Don't go spending the money. Invest the
Mm-hmm.
money.
Mm-hmm.
That is the time. How else can you break that cycle of poverty? Income tax time is the come up every year. I don't know why more people don't do it.
Listen, that part. Okay. So we started out where the mindset that you have is just amazing. And I want to make sure that people aren't missing that, because we started out with a very, very reasonable mortgage. And instead of taking that easy way out and just coasting, being willing to pay more than what was necessary to get out of that long-term commitment to then ultimately free up your cash flow.
Absolutely.
So 8 years, right, is how long it took you to pay it off, instead of 30. And so 8 years, someone's like, I don't have 8 years. But imagine the freedom you have of knowing you own a property free and clear in 8 years versus 30. So that's the first thing, is being willing to make that short-term sacrifice. Now, you mentioned the hard money lender. So I want to break that down a little bit for people who may not be as familiar. What requirements have you seen hard money lenders are needing from people in order to be willing to lend to them?
Sure. A lot of the hard money lenders are asset based, meaning they will give you can have some of them, you can have as low as a 500 credit score and get a real estate loan, because they loan based on the value of the asset. You just have to do the research and find them.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there. Read the fine print. So hard money lenders are nothing more than private investment firms. So let's say you and me and 5 other friends, we have this money.
Mm-hmm.
We want our money to grow. We're going to pool our resources and we're going to form an investment fund who's going to lend money out to people at high interest rates, but we're going to lower the requirement threshold so that
Mm-hmm.
more people can be eligible. So that's how that works. Hard money is just private lenders. It's not like the Wells Fargo's and the credit unions.
Mm-hmm.
The requirements usually are sometimes are asset based, but they all have varying credit requirements. 10% down is the very lowest I've ever seen it. The majority of them want 20% down,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the acquisition portion. If it doesn't need any renovations, then you're good to go. Then you can just sell it or rent it. There's
Mm-hmm.
usually different stipulations on a buy and hold versus a buy and flip. And they're all over the place. You just have to find that lender to know what their requirements are. So then after you acquire a property, you close, now you have to go into the renovation portion. Even if you just freshen up the paint and the carpet, make sure the furnace and water heater and all the systems are good, you're still going
Mm-hmm.
to need to invest. So the lenders, all of them, I've never seen one that doesn't do it. All of them will give you 100% on the renovation portion. So you basically have like two loans,
Mm-hmm.
and you still got to pay them back in 12 to 24 months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, for someone saying, okay, so I get the hard money, they're going to be willing, especially if we can get in for 10%, which is a lot less than, traditional banks are usually asking for 20, even 25%. What's the catch? I can hear people in the comments saying, what's the
Got
catch?
to use
Why
the
would I
handbag.
do that? Tell us more about what that process is like.
So if you want to make a drastic change in your life, sometimes you have to do something drastic.
Say that
Um,
again. Say that again. Come
if you
on.
want to make a drastic change in your life, you have to do something drastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as risky as it sounds if you have the mindset and the skill set. Sometimes the skill set is picking the right team. You don't have to have, like me as a retired carpenter, you don't have to have the hands-on skills, but just having the skill to pick the right people. Vet contractors, look on Angie's List or whatever. Do check Google reviews. Just do your due diligence when selecting a contractor to help you. Maybe your uncle is a contractor, whomever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most key piece if you don't have the skill set to do it on your own. So it's not as risky as it sounds. Just getting a contractor, and then in a year's time, your family could be sitting on, some nice coinage,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you can rinse and
Absolutely.
repeat and keep doing it until now you're able to fund your own projects and you're not paying a lender for hard money.
Absolutely. Type hard money in the chat if you are going to do some research now about hard money lenders in your area. Tell me, where have you found your favorite hard money lender? How did you meet them?
Being in real estate, as an agent, your name and everything is public. So
Hmm.
I just get flooded with emails all the time.
So they found you.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it. Okay.
And just having
Now,
relationships, go to networking events. It's almost always a lender at a networking event.
hey y'all, Tiffany here. Are you looking to purchase or sell real estate? As you know, I'm your aid to assets, and I want to help you with all of your real estate endeavors. Whether you're local here like me in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, I can then help you purchase or sell your next property. If you're looking to purchase or sell outside of North Carolina, let me know too. I can still help you. I have a team of agents all over the country that I can connect you with to partner on your next deal. Let's get to the closing table, y'all. We buy our way to wealth, whether that's buying right or selling better. Can't wait to hear from you. Click on the link in the bio if you want more information on how to personally work with me or an agent on my team. Talk to you soon. For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they usually come in with something. They have something for you. So you will talk to them for sure. Okay. So you talked several times about having a strong team. And that's something that we really hear hope to help people to understand the need for a team, but also who they need to have on their team. So you mentioned contractors before. And then
Yes.
you also mentioned that there were some subcontractors with different specialties. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is?
Yes. So a lot of times I've seen people call me in distress because they know of my experience. And they're like, do you have a plumber? Do you have the So I recommend having that general contractor, which is required it is in Georgia to do a lot of the different projects.
Mm-hmm.
But having your own subcontractors on deck just in case this guy flakes.
Right.
Because it
Right.
happens. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it happens. And it could be just as simple as he's got a lot of work and he got too many projects juggling at one time. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't even have to be a bad contractor. They just could be so busy that you get bumped to the side.
Right.
So in honestly, the busier ones are the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm. Okay, so how do you vet that? What questions should folks be asking potential contractors to know if this is someone that they want to put on their team?
number one, verify their bonding and insurance.
Mm-hmm. And tell people what's bonding and insurance for those that aren't familiar.
So insurance is just what we all have to have for cars, liability insurance, making sure that if they do something and burn your house down, that you don't have to file a claim on your insurance, that they are covering that.
Mm-hmm.
Bonding
Mm-hmm.
is it's like a almost a guarantee. Like if you bail somebody out of jail, you put that $10,000 up so that you guarantee that they come back to court. That bond says that contractor Joe is going to come back and finish this work. He's not going to steal the TVs off my wall. He's not going to take all my drywall and all the equipment that and materials that I bought. So if they do something, it covers them. It's not a liability thing like the other portion where they may have done something negligent to cause damages, but they did something maybe improper and it covers it's like kind of an honesty surety type of thing.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the higher bond that a contractor has, that's telling of how reliable they are. They come to you with a $2 million bond. That means that insurance companies don't see them as a high risk because
Okay.
they've shown and proved that they are trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so another vetting thing is we have it easy now. We got Google reviews.
Right. Right.
And there's a lot of other resources where you can just verify. There's the Better Business Bureau. There's asking a contractor how long have they been in business? How many other projects are you working on currently?
Mm-hmm.
How far do you live or is your shop from my house?
Mm-hmm.
If you're an hour and a half away, how many staff do you have? What's your crew looking like?
Mm-hmm.
How do you vet your staff? Do you have any, you know, criminals working for you? Do you do
Mm-hmm.
what is your drug testing policy?
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that's going to be in your home, especially if they're working on your personal home, absolutely ask for the names of the individuals on their staff. Do you wear uniforms?
Mm-hmm.
I require that they are uniformed so I know who's supposed to be in my home and
Mm-hmm.
ask for their names so you can verify maybe they're a sexual predator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Construction is one of the easiest industries to get in with a criminal record. So you
Okay.
need to know who you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just verifying the little things like that. But Google, Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, LinkedIn, do they have a website? How long have you been in business? Where do you bank? How do I pay you? Oh, never, 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 ever, ever pay more than 50% upfront. Never.
Talk about that some more. Tell us about that.
Some contractors, a bigger contractor can afford to float the cost of the job. He can pay his guys. He can buy the materials, and he's probably got credit accounts to go get all the materials to start your job. But a
Mm-hmm.
small to mid-sized contractor needs that money to get started. So don't be alarmed when they ask for 50%. That is 100% normal. Halfway through the project, you can release another portion, no more than 25% of the total. So half of the half.
Mm-hmm.
After the punch list walkthrough, that means you went through and you looked at everything, you verified everything, permits or county signed off on everything, all is well. Only after that do you pay the final balance. I don't care what sob story they give you. I don't care. Do not pay the remaining balance until the work is done because you
Mm-hmm.
will most likely never see them again.
Mm, mm. Okay. So we got a payment plan. So let's recap. So we're talking about, first, we're saving our money. We're giving ourselves a little bit of a nest egg because you got to pay to play. And so even, and I hear, the no down payment, but we're not just paying down payment. And I think that is a big thing that is not understood. And I
Common
understand.
misconception. Yes.
Right. That's the thing. And my thing is, I don't necessarily blame the folks on the internet because you're trying to fit everything in a 30-second clip. So I get it. People need to do their research and their due diligence to know it's more than just a down payment that you would pay in order to become a real estate investor. So, no, you may be able to get in with no down payment, but that doesn't mean no money.
Right. Closing costs, appraisals, inspections, taxes. There's still money up front.
There's still money up front. So, as a realtor, how do you help your clients who are on the newer end, even if it's their primary residence? Because we have a lot of folks who are considering house hacking. And so, how do you prepare them for those upfront costs that they may not be as familiar with knowing
Mm.
that they need to have prepared?
Oh yeah, that's good. So I am very vocal. I talk to and interview, especially buyers. I don't like wasting time. So I make sure that we're a good fit for each other. First of all, I don't work with everybody.
Hmm.
Um, I make sure that they're educated no matter what. If you're not even going to work with me, I love to educate people in this space because so many people, like a lot of people come to me. I've coached quite a few people to licensure, and after they've gotten licensed, helping them to build their real estate business. A lot of people just say, I want to do real estate. And there's a lot of that. There's not a lot of solid practitioners. The state of
Hmm.
Georgia alone has probably close to 50,000 licensees.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people just doing real estate. I am a real estate professional. I take it very
Hmm.
seriously and I love it. I love it. I've helped many people that were not my clients. That's how much I love real estate.
Hmm.
So just having, like, we're required to do 64 hours of continuing education credits every 4 years.
Hmm.
I always have over like 120, 130 hours because
Doubling what you're
I'm a
supposed to do.
student. I learn just to learn.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, and I built relationships very well with other paraprofessionals, the lenders, the inspectors, the appraisers, so that I know what they need to know so that I can inform my clients.
Hmm.
Um, Having the knowledge of what the loan products are and which lenders have those loan products.
Hmm.
That is another thing that I have specialized in, knowing, okay, Tiffany, you're wanting to buy a house. Okay. Have you spoken to a lender? Oh, you haven't. Okay. Well, we can talk about your goals. I will then put you with a lender that I think would serve you best.
Hmm. Hmm.
Anybody that I refer is that kind of lender who will get up at 10 o'clock at night and take your call
Hmm.
because they're going to be as thorough with the client as I will.
Right. Right.
So knowing, and the biggest population that I have problems with is veterans. I love
Okay.
y'all, but I have so much trouble with veterans.
We thank you for your
Veterans,
service,
right?
but we want to help you.
So here's the challenge. Here's the challenge that I have with the veterans. They, the ones who use the VA loan, it
Okay.
is a 100% loan. So all they have in their mind is no money down. I can't tell you how many times I've been flipped out on, up until last week, flipped out on for a veteran being angry because the lender is going down the list of what he's going to need to bring to the table.
Hmm.
You still have to pay the appraiser. You still
Hmm.
have to pay for the home inspection. You still have to pay closing costs, taxes, HOA fees. All of these things are upfront and they are included in that ball of wax that we call closing costs.
Hmm.
Closing costs does not get negated because you have a 100% loan.
Hmm.
And here's another nugget that a lot of people do not know. USDA, VA, and some FHA, I think conventional even has a product now too, that are all 100% products. the interest rate is always higher, just
Yep.
so you know. So
Yep.
you are not only borrowing more, but you're paying a higher interest rate on that. So that
Mhm.
means you get less house.
Right.
Understand the math, please.
Mhm.
You get less house. So if the loan amount is $100,000 at 7.5% interest rate because you borrowed 100%, if you were to do an FHA at 3.5% down payment, your payment would still be less,
Mhm.
even though you had to put that, you know, $3,500 down.
Mhm.
That's why I say income tax. It's really not even that much money when you look
Mhm.
at the numbers, especially some parts of the country. And I don't know how broad your viewership is, but some parts of the country, people still can buy a house for under $100,000.
People can
Take that
still
tax
buy.
return and buy you a house.
Yes.
Buy you a
Yes.
house. And if you can get into one of those places that they still have good deals on duplexes and triplexes and quads, now you got three other people paying your mortgage if you get a
Mhm.
quad. And in 1 year, if you do an FHA loan, 1 year you can now move and do it all over again.
And do it all over
All over.
again.
That is and I misspoke. That is probably the easiest way to get into investing if you can find a quad.
Yeah.
Duplexes are cool too,
Mhm.
but having somebody else pay your mortgage and then you can move on the next year.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell people, especially because we now remote work is so much more common than it ever has been. And so, particularly, a lot of my audience is younger professionals who may not have kids and families. And so they're not as
Mhm.
permanently stationary as many others, where nothing's permanent. We can always make the decision to move, especially if we know this is what we are working towards. It's just a little bit easier when it's just you or just you and a spouse versus you, a spouse, and kids.
Right.
And so I tell people, if you have that flexibility, that is definitely something, and it's a year. It is just a year.
Right.
So even if you go to the middle of West, wherever, you can stay for a year and come right back to where you were comfortable, but you're coming back now owning an asset that is income producing.
And also when considering an investment, a rental investment property, look to Zillow for average rental rates in the area that you're considering. So
Hmm.
you can better calculate your return. And there's videos and there's a ton of information you can Google NOI, net operating income, or ROI, cap rate. Those things will help to steer you toward that body of knowledge that will help you. NOI is probably the last one. That's more when you're more advanced. But
Okay.
ROI, return on income, and cap rate, capitalization rate. Study those two things to learn how you price your property. You know, if you see that in this area the rents are pretty much topped out for the nicest property at like $2,000 a month for the
Hmm.
very nicest, and this property that you're considering is low to moderately nice, you're going to be well below that $2,000 mark. But you want to now consider how much does the house cost to purchase, the price of the home, cost of the renovation, and then you take what you can rent it out for, and then you'll do some division. There's a little bit of math involved, but
Don't be afraid
YouTube
of
is
the
your
math,
friend.
y'all. Don't be afraid of the
YouTube
math.
University. Yes. So just it'll tell you how long it will take you to get your return. And the investors, the lenders will want to know that you've done that type of research. When you can come to them with those numbers, they'll take you more seriously. And they
Hmm.
will say, okay, this is a more savvy investor. We can go ahead and lend them. They'll feel better just because you came with that type of knowledge.
Absolutely. Again, part of that preparation, how they can best position themselves, having the information of this, showing that this is not I watched something online last night and I decided today that I'm gonna be a real estate
Right.
investor. But if anything else, really doing your research because this is a lot of money. This is what purchasing a home or investment property is one of the largest purchases most people will ever make in their lifetime. And
Ever.
so
Mhm.
we want to take it serious and really do our due diligence and our homework regarding it because it's not life changing for no reason. There is a reason why most millionaires own real estate property. Love it. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. So, two final questions that I have. The first one is knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your younger you and you can decide whether it's that 16-year-old girl looking at houses or another time, what advice would you give yourself if you knew you wanted to get into real estate investing?
My God. Well, before I get started into real estate, save your money, take care of your credit, and one project at a time. I'm really,
Mm,
really, really bad at, oh, let me gut the whole house instead of doing one room at a time.
yes, yes.
So, one room at a time, being that I was always doing the work by
Love
myself.
it.
Yes,
Love it. Save your money, take care of your credit, one project, one room at a time. And for people who have skills like that, imagine how valuable they are. So if you are a tradesman, you could be doing this on the side to be helping people. So also
oh, I'll
just
be
keep
helping you all out. I'll be helping you all out. I have an ebook I'm getting ready to release. How to renovate a house for under $25,000.
oh, do we have a date yet? When's that
I
coming out? When
don't.
can we expect?
I
Okay.
don't.
All right. It's all
Um,
right. That means we just gonna stay
it's
in touch.
crazy.
We
I
gonna
hit
make
the
sure.
writing bug this year. Listen, I hit the writing bug. I've written a book for realtors, the ebook for realtors for 10 steps to 10 steps to six figures. Haven't released
Oh,
that. Then I'm working on the renovation book. So the reason that I haven't put a date on the renovation book yet, because I want to be accurate in my figures. I'm
okay.
doing the house that I'm in right now. Not only did I pay cash for it, but I renovated the whole house, and I'm
Wow.
down to the kitchen. So the kitchen is the last thing, and it's the most expensive. I'll
Hmm.
tell you a little bit of the book. I don't care because I'm dang near giving it away. But the thing you have to do is number one, be patient. You've got to have money on hand, and you've got to be very resourceful. You got a truck. You see some stuff at this place is clearance, get it today. Don't wait, get it today. So, just finding those resources. And then I put stuff on like TikTok and mostly on my TikTok where I find things. And I walk
Okay.
through these warehouses. There's a lot of liquidation stores around the country.
Hmm.
Places like Home Depot, Wayfair, Overstock.com. They get rid of stuff. I don't know if it's returns, sometimes it's custom orders, but this is all brand new stuff. So find a liquidation, building supply liquidation in your area. That is the biggest gem I can give you if you're renovating a house. I mean, my water heater, Home Depot was like $800. I paid 200.
No.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Brand new, brand
Wow.
new. So these things they're not used, they're not refurbished,
Hmm.
brand new building materials. So that's another gem for you all. But that book is going to be coming soon. I wanted to be honest with my figures because my number I said I wanted to put under 25,000, but I'm going to be honest with how much I spend. If I go over that, then I'll just adjust the title.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I'm working on the kitchen, and then I'm writing a real book. It's a kind of motivational, not kind of. It's going to be really motivational, but it's my journey through life because life has lifed on me, honey.
Wow.
Woo.
That is exciting. Congratulations already. Best wishes on everything. This is gonna be amazing. So y'all, we're gonna have to that means we just gonna have to get Karonna back so she can talk to us about one, how much these renovations cost and walk us through what that process was like. But also we can get your book. There's so much to learn. You have a phenomenal story.
Thank you. And I have a podcast that I did launch. The Blowing Bubbles podcast is nothing about real estate, although I do talk real estate often. And Blowing Bubbles just is all about coping. You cannot blow bubbles and be mad at the same time.
Oh, I love to blow bubbles. It is my favorite. That is so cool. Oh, I'm here. I'm here for it. Y'all go ahead and subscribe now to the to the blowing bubbles. I have an orange one. I'm sitting here looking at my orange bubble. Oh, this is everything.
Yes.
I love
There's
it.
too many
Okay,
angry people in the world. So
girl.
chill out. Blow some bubbles.
Blow some bubbles. Yes. Amazing. Okay. So last thing, we like to make we make our intentions clear and known here on the Aid to Assets podcast. So looking forward, fast forward a year, 5 years, when we watch this back, what is going to be true for you and your business?
I am going to have a real estate academy.
Ooh.
I am getting more focused on the coaching space. I coach agents now, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just people who know me and they call me like, "Girl, I don't know what to do." So I'm making that because I am so busy. I want to package it so that
Okay.
I can serve more people. And I'm not a gatekeeper. If you call me today and you need some help, I'm going to help. It's just literally that simple. Um,
Yeah.
but I want to be able to serve more people, so I have to package it. I have to take what's in here and get it out so that people can just go to my website and like, oh, thank you. But yes, I will
Absolutely.
have a real estate academy within the next 12 months that will be live.
Amazing. Okay, so 10 steps to six figures for all my realtors that are watching. That is dropping soon. How to renovate a house in under potentially 25,000. We're gonna keep our fingers crossed for us new
I'm
investors.
getting
We're gonna
close.
say it's gonna be under we're gonna say it's gonna be under 25, and then a real estate academy, because we continue to need agents that are true professionals and students of this industry that are helping to educate. Most people do not have the education needed in order to successfully buy and sell property. And that's why you get professionals like us to help you do it, so you don't have to go through all of that. So, super excited. Tell the people how they can get in contact with you, how they can find you, where they can listen to the podcast.
All Things Blowing Bubbles podcast. There is another Blowing Bubbles podcast, but if you see a black girl with an afro and orange background, that's me. Instagram, Blowing Bubbles podcast, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.
Yes, hit that like and subscribe button. Go over to the Blowing Bubbles podcast and do the same. It was such a joy to get to have you here. Thank you so very much for sharing your
Thank you for
knowledge.
having me.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, this is another episode of the Aid to Assets podcast, where we are helping you buy your way to wealth through real estate investing. If you found this to be valuable, please hit that like and subscribe button and tune in next time. Until then, bye. Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of Aid to Assets. Remember, your journey from 9-to-5er to successful real estate investor is within reach. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep investing in your future. If you'd like to know more, connect with me on Instagram at Aid to Assets. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, happy investing.